Hi everyone, and welcome to another one of my videos. This is a help video for practice set 3 paper 2F, and if you're working in my class this will be called booklet 8. As you can see from the icon below, it's a calculator paper. That means you're allowed to use a calculator on any question. When it says show working or show method, it means show what you're doing, but you use a calculator. Don't do long division, long multiplication at all in any questions. Use the calculator instead. If you don't use the calculator, all that happens is you spend more time doing the questions and you make more mistakes, just like I do, and you get no more marks just because you haven't used the calculator. So please make sure you use a calculator. One more thing is that the methods I'm suggesting, or when I give you advice, it's just the kind of things that I would use. I'll try sometimes to give you two different ways of doing it if I can think of a couple. I just want to say that the methods that I'm suggesting are just the ways that I would use it and aren't necessarily the ways that Edexcel suggests you should use it. They don't have a suggested way, but they don't want to be associated with any way that a teacher suggests you do it. The purpose of the video is to give you a hand on any questions where you are stuck. So if you're like me, my mum and dad weren't able to help me with my maths when I was your age. They helped me in loads of other ways, but not with maths. And so I put together these videos to give you a hand if you're stuck. Please use it, it's not cheating. Try and do as much of the booklet as you can on your own. And then, when you get to some of the questions you can't do, have a look at this video. Sometimes it's difficult to explain how to do a question or give you a hint without actually doing the question for you. So if you watch this video and you're still not quite sure about how to do a particular question, ask me. Don't leave any question unattempted. Okay, let's go on. So these first few questions, you should be doing these really easily, and you've got to just make sure that you don't make any mistakes. So 5 pencils cost £1.85. Work out the cost of 9 of these pencils. Use this information and your calculator to work out the price of one pencil, I beg your pardon, and then you can use this information to work out the price or the cost of 9. Question 2. These two triangles are congruent. What does congruent mean? They basically mean they're the same size, the same shape triangle. If you cut one out, it will fit over the other one. You might have to rotate it or reflect it. But it's basically congruent, basically means it's the same shape. So basically it's saying, look at these shapes here, write down the size of the angle marked X. Be careful when you do this. These two quadrilaterals are congruent, so they are basically the same shape. Side Y is equal to one of the sides A, B, C or D. Which side? Well, take that one there and rotate it so that you're looking at them from the same way. And you should find that answer quite easy. Write down the coordinates of point A. Please make sure that you do X across and Y up. So when you write a coordinate, the coordinate of this point here, for example, let's do this one here, would be 5, 4 and not 4, 5. So remember, along first, then up or down. Okay, we should be able to do that in that case. Question 4, the scale shows the total weight of 3 boxes. Each box is the same weight, worth out the weight of one box. Be careful when you do this that you don't write down 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4. That's not 1.4, because if it was, this would be 1.5 and it's not, it's 2. So you've got to work out what this scale is first of all. And whatever that number is, you then work out what that it would be. If that's 3 boxes, work out what the weight of one box would be. Question 5 said the table of midday temperatures in 4 cities on one day in winter is these, which had the lowest midday temperature. So basically, which is the coldest. By midnight, the temperature in London, here we are, had fallen by 5 degrees. It had got 5 degrees colder. So make sure you don't make it warmer. Work out the midnight temperature in London. So you need to make this, be careful, a 5 degrees colder. It's fallen, it's 5 degrees colder. Here is a cafe menu. Kerry buys 1 beef burger and 1 can of cola. That should be Fairly easy to do. Work out the total cost. He wants to buy 2 hot dogs, a cup of tea and a can of cola. Here's a £5 note. Does he have enough money? Give reasons for your answer. So you add up the total cost and you work out to see if it comes over a £5. Be careful, it's 2 hot dogs. People just add 1 hot dog there, so make sure. Give reasons for your answer. Well, you're just going to compare the total cost with £5 and say whether it's big enough. Question 7. Work out the number which is exactly halfway between 1.2 and 1.4. Hope that's okay. 0.4 kilograms to grams. Kilo means 1,000. There are 1,000 grams in a kilogram. Alright? So be careful, not 100. Change 90 kilometers per hour into meters per second. So if I was doing this, first of all, we need to turn the kilometers into meters and the hours into seconds. So, first of all, if it's 90 kilometers per hour, let's turn that into meters per hour. Well, just like there are 1,000 grams in a kilogram, there are 1,000 meters in a kilometer. So 90 kilometers is how many meters? Work that out. Now that's how far you would travel in an hour, but we want it in meters per second. So take that time, or that speed, meters per hour, and work out what would you do to make it into meters per minute, and then meters per second. Have a think about whether you're going to divide by 60 or multiply by 60. What would make sense? If you're travelling meters per second, you're not travelling as far as meters per hour. So you're expecting the answer to get smaller when you change from meters per hour into meters per second. Work out the median. You should know that the median is the middle number, but you have to do something with these numbers first of all before you can say which number is in the middle. So think carefully. It's not going to be 10. You can see that 10 is the biggest number, so it's not in the middle. You need to do something with these numbers first of all. Then work out the mean. The mean is called the mean because it's mean because they make you work it out. It's the one you have to calculate. Remember how to work out the mean? If you don't, I'm not going to tell you because you can find it. Ask Uncle Google. Type into Google, how do you work out the mean of a set of numbers, and it will tell you. So work it out for yourself. There are 120 cars in a car park. Draw an accurate pie chart for this information. So basically what we need to do is we need to add together these numbers, but we don't actually because look, there's 120 cars. So we know that these numbers will add up to make 120. So basically what we have to do is imagine cutting this slice or this pie into 120 slices, giving 1 slice for each car. Now we're not literally going to draw 120 slices, we'd be here all day. But if we did, if we cut 360, this whole pie, into 120 slices, how many slices or how many degrees would each slice be? 360 cut into 120 slices. How big would each slice be? That gives you the size of a slice, and you want 40 of them for red. So, for example, if you decided that the size of each slice was 4 degrees, it's not, but if it was, then you'd have 40 slices here. It would be 40 lots of 4, 160. 24 lots of 4, 96, and so on. Then you take your angles here and you measure them out onto the pie chart below, making sure that you label each slice not with the size of the degree of the angle, but with the name or the colour of the slice. Okay? The cost of 1.5 kilogram of peaches is 0.84 or 84 pence. The total cost of 3 kilograms of peaches and 2 kilograms of apples is £2.34. Work out the cost of 1 kilogram of apples. Well, you know what 1.5 kilograms of peaches is. So if you doubled that, that would tell you what 3 kilograms would be. But you've got the cost of 3 kilograms of peaches and 2 kilograms of apples. So whatever that is, double that, that will be 3 kilograms of peaches. The extra will be from the 2 kilograms of apples. And then decide what you need to do to work out the cost of 1 kilogram of apples. Here is a rule for working out the volume of a pyramid. Multiply the base area by the height and then divide by 3. So it's got a pyramid has a base area of 9 square centimeters and a height of 4. Use the rule to work out the volume of the pyramid. So they're telling you what to do. It says multiply the base area, here it is, by the height, here it is, and then divide by 3. So it's telling you what to do with these numbers to work out the volume. Easy. Now a different pyramid has a volume of 20 cubic centimeters, and the base area of this pyramid is 10 square centimeters. Work out what the height must be. So let's think about what we do here. We multiply the base area by the height and then divide by 3. So we multiply the base area by the height divided by 3 and got a volume of 20. So what that answer would have been, what would it have been before we divided by 3? Okay, so once we divided by 3 we got 20. What would it have been before we divided by 3? Okay, so you've got a number now. If the base area is 10, what must the height have been to make that answer? Okay. Brian wants to go on holiday. He's going to take out a loan of £500 to help pay for the holiday. Brian will have to pay back the £500 plus 20% interest over 12 months. He will pay back the same amount of money each month. How much money will he pay back each month? So first of all, you need to find 20% of this. Well, 10% is easy, and you can double it to get 20%. And then you add it on. So you've got your 20% interest. So you've worked out 10%, doubled it to get 20%. That's your interest. And then you add it on to this amount of money you've got here. That will tell you the total amount of money that you need to pay back over 12 months. So if that's what you're going to pay back over 12 months and you're going to pay the same amount of money each month, how will you work out what each monthly payment will be? Work out 5/9 of 72 kilograms. Well, to find a quarter of something, you divide it by 4. To find a half of something, you divide it by 2. So here, you're going to find 1/9 of 72 first of all. And once you've got that answer, you'll find 5/9 of it. What will you do with your 1/9 answer to get 5/9? And that's your answer there. Here, it says, show that 1/3 plus 4/15 is 3/5. So basically it's asking you to add this together and then simplify it. Remember what we need to do? We need to make the denominators the same. That's what we need to do. Now, some people will have 45 on the bottom here, or maybe 30, because it's a number that 3 and 15 both go into. But remember, the whole idea is to make the denominators the same. Well, 3 goes into 15, doesn't it? So we could leave that 15 as it is and just make that 3 into 15. What would we have to do to make 3 into 15? In that case, we'd have to do the same thing to 1. So take this fraction and make it to an equivalent fraction with 15 on the denominator. Once you've done that, you can then add your numerators, your top numbers, and you should find out that then the answer simplifies to 3/5. Make sure you show all your working out. The diagram shows part of a design of a stained glass window. A, B, C, D, A, B, C, I beg your pardon, not D, is an isosceles triangle. We know that because we've got marks here that tell us that this line and this line are the same. It's an isosceles triangle, and B, C, D are straight lines, and A, C, E are straight lines. Angle DCE is 67 degrees. DCE is 67 degrees. So basically, this line of writing here just tells you what we can see here. And that's what they always do in a question like this. You've got a diagram. You can see that these two sides are the same. It says it's an isosceles triangle. You can see that's a straight line. It tells you it's a straight line. You can see that this angle is 67 degrees in the diagram, and it tells you angle DCE is 67 degrees. Work out the size of the angle marked X. Give reasons for your answer. Now this give reasons for your answer is really, 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 really important. If you don't give reasons, you don't get marks. So it's really important. Now, if you look down here, you've got 4 marks. The actual amount of maths you're going to do is going to be pretty small, but the marks come from you explaining. That's what takes the time, and that's why they give you 4 marks. So if you can work out the answer to this question, you must know the reasons, and it's about putting down what the reasons are. Okay, so we haven't got any parallel lines. Let's be clear about that first of all. There's no arrows on these lines. This line here looks parallel to this line here, but they're not saying it's parallel. There's no, so we can't look for Z angles or F angles or anything like that. We don't need to. First of all, what can you tell me about this angle and this angle? Okay. Now, why do you know that? What is the reason? You write that reason down. So you know what that angle is. Why? What is the reason? How do you know what it is? Okay. Now, look at this triangle you've got here. What type of triangle have you got here? It tells you here. So what can you tell me about this angle here and this angle here? Why do you know that fact? What is it that tells you that you know that angle? How do you know what that angle is? Give a reason. Okay. Now you've got 2 angles in a triangle. So that means you should be able to now work out what that angle is. It's the missing amount. How are you going to work out that angle? What angle fact are you going to use to work out that angle? Okay, write it down. That's what it means when it says give reasons for your answer. So the working it out is easy. You work out that angle, you work out that angle, you work out that angle. It doesn't take very long at all. Why are they giving you 4 marks? For the reasons. If you don't give the reasons, you don't get the marks. Please make sure you show the reasons. Question 15. Look, you've got a right angled triangle. The minute you see a right angled triangle, it's either trigonometry or it's Pythagoras. Okay, you've got an angle there, so it's no longer Pythagoras, it's trigonometry. You're going to work out the angle. That means you're going to use sine or cosine, cos, or tan. So remember, sickness on holiday comes after having tons of alcohol. Label this side. What is the name of this side? What is the name of this side? Use those labels to decide whether it's going to be sine, cos, or tan. And then work out the angle. Remember, you're going to use the shift button. Okay? Shift tan or shift sine or shift cos, because you're working out an angle. Question 16. Nails of length 35 millimeters are sold in 3 sizes of packets. There are 20 nails in this one. There are 50 in there, and there are 90 in there. Okay. Which side is the best value for money? You must show clearly how you got your answer. Well, you're allowed to use a calculator. So the cheapest, quickest thing to do would probably work out the cost of a nail here. 20 nails cost £1.36. What would one cost? 50 nails cost £3.60. What would one cost? 90 nails cost £6.03. What would one cost? There's other ways of doing it. And if you know what you're doing, do it that way. But that's a simple way when you're allowed to use a calculator. Nails of different lengths are sold in mixed packets. Here are the lengths in millimeters of the nails in a mixed packet. Draw an ordered stem and leaf diagram for this information. So you look at the numbers and you look to see which ones are the smallest and the biggest, and you write a line down here. So what seems to be the biggest? Smallest rather, I think 20 seems to be the smallest. And then we've got 55. Have we got anything bigger than 55? I don't think we have. So you need 2, 3, 4, 5, and then a line down like that. That's your stem. The 2 with the line there counts as 20, and the 3, 30. Okay, you got 20. Cross it off, put a 0 next to the 2. You got 35. Cross it off so you know you counted it. Put a 5 next to the 3. You've got 49. Cross it off. Put a 9 next to the 4. Keep on going like that. Then draw it once again, but these numbers you put here by the side of the 20 and the 30 and the 40, you need to put them in order. That's what it means when it says draw an ordered stem and leaf diagram. Okay, so you need 2 stem and leaf diagrams. One where you're just tallying it up and it's not going to be in order, and then a final neat one where the leaves are in order. Okay, if you're not quite sure about that, not quite sure what I'm saying, look at Corbett Maths, look at Hegarty Maths, or ask me. Find the median length. Well, you need to find the middle number, don't you? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 15 numbers. To find the middle number, you take the number of things you've got, you add 1, that's 16, and divide by 2, that makes 8. So once the numbers are in order, and they will be in your ordered stem and leaf diagram, the one you did here, you find the 8th. You count from the beginning and count in 8, and that will give you the median. So remember, there are 15 nails altogether. To find the middle position, you add 1 to that number, 15 add 1, 16, and then divide by 2, you half it because it's the median, 8th. Expand and simplify. It means you multiply everything in this bracket by everything in here. X times 3, x times minus 3. 9 times x, 9 times minus 3. Be careful with the negatives. You get 1 mark for doing that part. That's called expanding. And then you simplify. There should be after you've done this, there should be 4 separate things you've got here. 2 of them can be put together. That bit is called simplifying, and you get the mark for that. Here it says make A the subject of the formula V equals U plus AT. Remember that V and U and A and T are just numbers. So it's a bit like solving an equation. You need to move the letters over to here in an organised way so that A is just on its own. Okay? So you are multiplying by T and you are adding U, and you need to reverse that. So have a go at that. If you're not quite sure, ask me. Question 18. Suha Industries make drinks containers. They need to design a new container for 50 millilitres of milk, or drink rather. The container has to be the shape of a cuboid. The base of the cuboid has to be a square. The sides are going to be 5. Work out the minimum height of this container. Well, the first thing to understand is that a cubic centimetre and a milliliter are the same thing. That's really important. So a litre, which is 1,000 millilitres, also has a volume of 1,000 cubic centimetres. That's really important. So when it says 500 millilitres, it's also saying that the volume is going to be 500 cubic centimetres. So basically what it's saying is that this cuboid needs to have a volume of at least 500 cubic centimetres. How do you find the volume of a cuboid? Remember, base, area, times the height, or length times width times height. So you've got 5 and you've got 5, so you can work out what the area of the square is going to be. What must that height be? What must you times that by, that answer you just got down here, to get 500? Alright, and that's basically the answer. Question 19. On July the 1st, 2004, Jack invested £2,000 at 5% per annum compound interest. Work out the value of Jack's investment on July the 1st, 2006. Now, compound interest is really important you understand that. It's not simple interest. Compound interest is what you get in real life. What a lot of people do is they do this. They say to themselves, right, well, from 2004 to 2006, it's 2 years. I'm getting 5% for 2 years. 2 times 5 is 10%. They find 10% of that and add it on, and that's the wrong answer. What you need to do is you're going to get interest on your interest. So in 2005, 1 year after 2004, you'll get 5% of 2000 extra added on. So you've got a new amount of money in 2005. Your original £2,000 plus the 5% you've just worked out. And now in 2006, you will get 5%, not of 2000, but of the amount that you just worked out, the amount you started with in 2005. Okay, so that's really important. So you're going to find 5% of this, add it on, and then you're going to find 5% of that and add it on. And that's going to be your answer here. Question 20 is one of those questions which people tend to leave. Please don't leave it. Do what you can. So there's a few things we've got to do here. First of all, let's read the question. It says that it shows a solid prism made from metal. The cross section of the prism is a trapezium. The parallel sides of a trapezium are 8 and 12. We can see them there. And the height of the trapezium is 6. We can see it there. And the length of the prism is 20. So once again, just like that angle question, this is spent giving you the information that you know already from the diagram. The density of the metal is 5 grams per cubic centimeters. Calculate the mass of the prism. Give your answer in kilograms. Right. So let's take our time to get this right. And let's do what we can do. So, first step is we need to work out the volume of this prism. How are we going to work out that? Well, we need to work out the area of this face, because the prism, that volume of a prism, is the area of this face, or any face, in this case it's trapezium, multiplied by this length. We're going to find the area of that face, and then we're going to use that to work out, with this number here, the volume of the prism, and then we're going to use that to work out the mass of the prism. So, let's take our time. First of all, you need to know how to work out the area of a trapezium. Now, we've done this loads of times. It's on your formula sheet, if you're not sure. I'm not going to tell you again, because I've told you loads of times. It's on your formula sheet. Look it up, or even just Google, how do I find the volume of the area of a trapezium. Take some responsibility, find it out for yourself. Once you've got that answer, you can then use that with that 20 to work out the volume. Even if you do know more, you've got some marks for doing that. Do that bit. Do what you can do. Now, you will have an answer there in cubic centimeters. This density of the metal tells you that it says 5 grams per cubic centimeter. So basically, it's saying every cubic centimeter weighs 5 grams. So if, say for example, it came to 1,000 cubic centimeters, it doesn't, but if it did, 1,000 cubic centimeters, then it would be 1,000 lots of 5. Each of those 1,000 cubes would weigh 5 grams. So it would be 5,000 grams, or 5 kilograms. So you use this to work out the mass, and that will be first of all in grams, and then you turn that into kilograms. How many grams in a kilogram? 1,000, exactly. So once again, do what you can do. Don't just look at this and say, I can't do any of it, and leave it blank. Question 21. The diagram shows a triangle. All the angles are measured in degrees. Show that the triangle is isosceles. Right. So, what we need to do is work out what each of those 3 angles are. Now, first of all, you need to know what an isosceles triangle is. It's come up in a question already on this paper, so you should know by now what an isosceles triangle is. At the moment, we can't say, because we don't know what x is, and that's what we need to do. So we don't know what these 3 individual angles are, but we do know something about them. Why is that? Because they're in a triangle. So what angle fact do you know about the angles in a triangle? Right, they add up to 180. So the first thing you need to do is write down that plus that plus that equals 180. That gets a mark. Then we need to have a little bit of a tidy up. We need to gather together all the x's and gather together all the numbers to get an equation that will simplify. Once you've done that, you can work out what x will be, and that will give you some more marks. Now you've worked out what x will be, you can work out what the size of each of these will be. Let's suppose, for example, that you worked out that x is 20 degrees. I don't know what the answer is, but suppose you worked out that x is 20. Then this would be 4 times 20, 80, plus 8, 88. And this would be 5 times 20, 100, plus 2, 102, and so on. And then you'd be able to see whether you've got two answers the same. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to write back to the start, that and that and that together make 180, get a mark. Simplify it. Simplify all the x's and the numbers, tidy it up, get a mark. You should have a nice, fairly simple equation now. Solve the equation and work out what x is, get a mark. Okay, we've got 3 marks so far. Then, for 4th mark, with that value of x you've just worked out, work out what 4x plus 8 is, work out what 5x plus 2 is, and work out what 6x minus 10 are. Okay, then you will know what the size of each of these 3 angles are. Okay, get a 4th mark for doing that. And finally, you should be able to say that the triangle is isosceles, why? Okay, so if you see that it's isosceles, say why. You've got to show, explain that you know what an isosceles triangle is. Don't just not work it out. Okay, work it out, but actually say why this shows that it is an isosceles triangle. Okay, hopefully that's been some help to you. If there are any questions that you watched and you're still not quite sure, ask me. Don't leave a single question blank. Ask me. I want to help you. Okay, and you will make progress by tackling those questions. You make much more progress by tackling them than you will by just leaving them. Okay, if there's a question like this, for example, on the paper, we want to be able to work it out now rather than wishing we could have worked it out when we see it for the first time in the summer exam. Okay folks, so I hope that video was helpful to you, but if not, then please ask me. Cheers, thanks, bye.